On the green turf behind me, the world's most famous flat race will be staged on Saturday week, the Investec Derby, and we've been here today on Epsom Downs for the annual Breakfast with the Stars, where some of the key contenders for the Oaks and the Derby generally strut their stuff, and we hear from connections of the leading fancies. A bit different this year, only 2 horses appeared on the Epsom turf, but we did hear from those major principals, and one of the annual highlights of Breakfast with the Stars is the verbal tussle between the host Nick Luck and Aidan OBrien, and Nick trying to glean a definitive piece of news out of the Master of Ballydor, generally without success, although he does try very hard. But this year, Bruce Jackson, we did learn something, because Aidan OBrien pretty much confirmed Sir Dragonet for the Derby.
Yeah, it sounded like he'd had a very hearty breakfast. He was very forthcoming, saying that probably have a crew of 7 probably running in the Derby, and seemed to be much more leaning towards Epsom for Sir Dragonet, having sort of said that the French Derby was definitely under consideration. Obviously he has to be supplemented for both, but it seemed almost certain that we're going to see Sir Dragonet supplemented on Sunday. And I think he was very, very upbeat about the whole 7 of them sort of like coming well forward from what they've done so far. I mean, he had a clean sweep in the trials, and he still thinks they've got more improvement to come in all of them, because they've been a little bit different in their training this year. He said that he left them alone a bit more, let them come through naturally, and so they're going to improve as the year goes on. So everyone, I think, will be saying to themselves, oh my God, O'Brien's really got this sort of bagged up this year.
And Kitty Trice, what do you think that tells? If Aidan's going to have 7 in the race, do you think there's not one of those individuals actually stands out to him yet, or are they just going to fire as many darts at the board as they can and hope that one sticks?
I mean, I think he goes with, the more the merrier. It's going to be safer to run as many as possible. But to me, I think Sir Dragonet stands out just purely from his Chester win. Obviously, he's got his inexperience and potential ground concerns to overcome, but I think Sir Dragonet and Brum look the standouts.
Bruce, we did see in person the great Frankie Dettori today. He came in by helicopter and took a picture of the track on his way down. Frankie obviously has choices to make, or a choice to make in the Oaks between Median, the Chester winner, and Annapurna from Lingfield. But we also learned today that he has a likely ride for John Gosden, the Derby horse, that we haven't really heard much about.
No, exactly. Sort of John Gosden dropped in first of all that he might have, well, he will leave 2 in the Derby, which is Private Secretary and Humanitarian, who only ran, I think, a couple of weeks ago at Salisbury. So when John says he's going to leave them in and that they've been developing at a rate and really pleasing him, that's very interesting. But Frankie was keeping his feet on the ground by saying that Private Secretary had won a race at Sandown that Jack Hobbs, the legendary Jack Hobbs, had won a sort of a handicap, and Private Secretary is now rated 92, so as Frankie sort of starkly put it, he's got to improve £20 to be even competitive in the Derby. So he's not sort of building up his own expectations, but when those 2 team up, it's got to be always take a note, and it'd be very interesting to see how he gets on.
So we don't know yet for sure which horse Frankie will ride in the Derby, and we don't know yet for sure either which horse Oisin Murphy will ride in the Derby, because Oisin was here today to talk about Telecaster, the horse he won the Dante on last week. Hughie Morrison, his trainer, we heard from him on the phone. And Kitty, it does sound as if Hughie's going to make a late decision on Monday as to whether he supplements, or the owners supplement, Telecaster. Of course, Sir Dragonet needs supplementing too. Both horses were in the Derby, taken out of the Derby in March, and now need to be put back in the Derby. With Telecaster, Hughie did sound as though it would be a late decision, but he also made clear that the horse had a hard race at York, and I just thought, I got the impression that maybe there wasn't complete enthusiasm for going for Epsom. Do you think that's fair?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, he did look to have a hard race at York. They did go very fast early on, the front 2. And it's only 16 days from then until the Derby. I mean, he's got plenty of options. He could go for the Irish Derby. And I think that's a track that would suit him. A few days is a long time in a horse's life. So, I think the horse will tell him whether he's ready for it or not, ultimately.
Bruce, will he run?
I would be odds against him running. I think Hughie very tellingly at the end said he's got free entry into the Irish Derby and the Grand Prix de Paris, so further down the line, give him more time to recover. I thought it was a spectacular performance in the Dante, but he obviously, as Hughie says, is a very buzzy horse. He was one of the front two that went miles clear. It will have taken a hell of a lot out of him. I would be against it, I think, and I think they probably will just decide. And of course, he's got to be supplemented as well, so it's a huge fee. It's not as if he was in there, got taken out. So at that stage, they weren't considering him a Derby horse. So what he's done in the sort of like 4 weeks, 5 weeks since then has obviously surprised him a bit. So yeah, I'd be saying it's odds against him running.
And Kitty, so we only saw 2 horses here today. I only saw 1 horse with Epsom classic ambitions in Torteca, one of 2 horses, 2 fillies that Roger Varian has in the Oaks. So the Norcia won the Musidora. She might wait for France. Torteca perhaps sounds a more likely candidate for the Oaks, having run second at Lingfield. Did you like what you saw there?
I thought she worked well here. I mean, she's got sort of 6 lengths to find with Anna Perna, but the Oaks, anything can happen. It's a race. You can get traffic problems, you can get trapped in. So I think she's got every right to take her chance, and she's only lightly raced, so I think Connections have every right to go for it.
And as we leave you from Epsom this beautifully sunny Tuesday morning, we'll ask the guys for their views on the 2 races at this stage. Kitty, if I said to you now, name me the winner of the Investec Oaks and the Investec Derby, what 2 names would you give me?
For the Derby, I'd go Broome. I just think he's got the temperament for the big day, and the further he's gone, the better he's looked. And for the Oaks, I'd have to go with Medaya. I was just really impressed with the way she kicked on in the Cheshire Oaks, and she's following a similar footpath to stablemate Enable, so fingers crossed.
And Bruce, who are your fingers crossed for?
Well, we had Unibet saying 10 to 1, the 1, 2, 3 for O'Brien. I'm very tempted by that. Have a look and see whether there's any bigger prices. I just think he's going to swamp the Derby this year, and probably my order would be Anthony Van Dyke, possibly Japan, who I think didn't get enough credit for what he did in the Dante, coming in late, and over the extra 1.5 furlongs from the Dante, I think he'll pick up Telecaster, having had an easier race and staying on nicely, and then to Dragonet for the TriCast. I mean, I can see him easily having the 1, 2, 3.